The Supreme Court killed Trump's tariffs. What the hell happens now?
Then why the world's biggest food biz just quit ice cream.
And the secret brand Nike launched at the Olympics without using a single swoosh.
No swoosh, but 3 fantastic stories. Jack, let's hit the T-boy. This is Nick.
This is Jack.
Welcome back. It is Monday, February 23rd, and today's pod is the best one yet. This is a T-boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
Jack, you know how I'm preparing for our live show this week?
Are you on voice rest?
Just saw Van Morrison live at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco.
A romantic concert with your wife is how you're preparing to go on stage with me.
The Palace of Fine Arts, good venue for a podcast, a live podcast, Jack.
Is that a hint?
It's not a spoiler.
Let's hit the stories.
For our first story, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Trump's global tariffs. It's a massive reverse Uno card, undoing the president's favorite policy.
But how do you unscramble the egg that is 1 full year of tariffs collected?
Oh, Yetis. Last week, President Trump said he would release files about aliens and UFOs. Then the Supreme Court dropped this UFO out of nowhere on us.
The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 majority opinion, actually stated the case very simply. Tariffs are taxes, and only Congress can tax.
Now, President Trump had claimed that there was a loophole here that allowed him to do this full year of tariffs.
Emergency powers granted in a 1997 law.
But that didn't pass the sniff test of the Supremes. They said the emergencies Trump cited, they weren't really valid in this case.
So the ruling is that tariffs aren't illegal in and of themselves. They simply need to be approved by Congress, like any other tax needs to be approved by Congress.
It's like President Trump was tariff maxing, and then Congress said, no cap, we need a cap on those tariffs. And then the Supreme Court just mocked the president's tariffs.
Okay, I'm going to put all of that into Gen Z AI chatbot and figure it all out.
Yeah, I got you on the translation. But this leads to the big question, Yetis. What happens next?
The hardest part happens next. Because how do you untariff tariffs that have already been tariffed?
That hath which been tariffed, Jack. Like, President Trump's tariffs basically scrambled global trade. That's what we said last year.
So unscrambling the egg of 1 year of tariffs, that's going to be a huge challenge now.
And how do you go from omelet back to the egg? Besties, the easy part here is the 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Those are canceled effective immediately.
And the 10% so-called reciprocal tariffs from Liberation Day, those are canceled as well.
But targeting specific industries like steel, those tariffs stay in place.
40% of Trump's tariffs were not struck down by the Supreme Court. Those are actually legal under different laws.
But Jack, what about the hardest part of this already hard question? The refunds.
Because as a reminder, this lawsuit that the Supreme Court just ruled on, it came from small businesses who sued the Trump administration for the tariffs.
Exactly. And small businesses hurt by tariffs, they want payback. They want justice. They want refunds. I'd like to speak to a manager, please.
After all, they paid money to the government, tariffs, and those tariffs are legal, so shouldn't they get their money back now?
So 2 reports last week actually confirmed what President Trump has denied for a long time.
The 2 reports confirmed that foreign countries don't pay the tariffs. We do.
But the Supreme Court didn't say anything about the refunds. Maybe low courts or maybe a future Supreme Court ruling, maybe that will figure it out later on.
It's really frustrating that after deliberating on this for months, the Supreme Court didn't answer the huge question of refunds.
Yeah, I know what you're feeling right now, Jack.
It's like a parent saying, let's drop our 3-year-old's nap, but then not explaining what's going to happen to that gap in the day that you depend on when your kid is napping.
So the fundamental question, how to unscramble these scrambled tariff eggs, basically issuing refunds, well, lawsuits are lining up just to figure it out.
So how did markets react, though, to the news that the tariffs are illegal?
Pretty good, Jack.
Very well. Because the tariffs getting canceled are effectively a tax cut for the whole economy.
So that's why we saw the made in China stocks popping last week.
e.l.f. Beauty Makeup, which does a lot of their stuff in China, their stock rose 23% last week, now that tariffs are gone.
It was very dewy. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies wondering what happens next?
The president should use the Supreme Court's ruling to walk away from this losing policy.
This is an off-ramp. You see, besties, on Friday, President Trump accused the 6 major judges of the Supreme Court of disloyalty to our Constitution. That's not what happened, though.
That's the opposite of what happened. But the president then pledged to replace his struck-down tariffs with brand new 10% tariffs that are more legally durable.
But just because the president says he'll do something doesn't mean he actually will do something.
Think about it. With affordability and the midterms coming up, he could use the Supreme Court's decision to let this bad policy end.
And why is it a bad policy? Well, We got all the data. The trade deficit grew in the last year, the exact opposite of what President Trump wanted.
U.S. manufacturing jobs declined by 80,000 jobs last year. That's the opposite of what Trump wanted with his tariffs.
And then on Friday, the Fed's preferred inflation report said that prices actually rose 3% in December, not what anyone wanted.
A reminder, Yetis, from the beginning of this whole drama, tariffs made the Great Depression worse. So for 80 years, it's been a toxic policy, and this data shows why.
Now the president says he will double down and institute legal tariffs to replace these illegal ones.
But we hope he uses the Supreme Court's ruling as an off-ramp.
It's a cover to quit a losing policy. For our second story, Nestle is selling off its legendary ice cream business for $1.3 billion just after Unilever spun off their ice cream business too.
Why does every big food company hate their ice cream when every human loves their ice cream?
Lactose intolerant? What's going on?
We had to jump into the scoop.
Oh, we got the scoop. But first, Jack, next time you come over, I'm serving you an ice cream omakase. Are you ready for this?
Is that like a chef's menu?
Yeah, it's like an 11-course chef's choice tasting menu for the gelato. We got Salt and Straw, Van Leeuwen, Jenny's, Fortunes. It's a gelato tasting menu for you, my friend.
You are a very generous sweet tooth.
I will blindfold you. But second, most importantly, Eddie's the world's biggest food business. Nestle is worth $250 billion.
They're the second biggest ice cream scooper on earth. They own Drumstick, Haagen-Dazs, and 4 other brands, doing $1.3 billion of global ice cream sales.
But Nestle just said, no, I do not want to see the dessert menu.
Nestle announced they're selling off all 6 of their ice cream brands for $1.3 billion to another company that they actually co-own.
Should point out, you can't get rid of ice cream completely. Just ask anyone who's made that like a New Year's resolution, right?
That's why they're selling to a company they co-own.
But here's what Jack and I find fascinating. It ain't just Nestle ditching the ice cream these days.
Last year, Unilever, the world's biggest ice cream company, spun off their ice cream business too.
I think the financial term for that, Jack, is banana split. That's what the bankers say.
They called their ice cream company Magnum, and now it's a $9 billion publicly traded ice cream stock. They own Talenti, Klondike, and Ben & Jerry's.
What we are looking at when you add it all up, besties, is the great ice cream exit.
The game of cones.
I scream, you scream, but Jack, who screams for the ice cream?
I mean, I do and you do.
Yeah, we do. We actually, both of us do. So, besties, this is what we want to dig into today. What is with this trend of companies spitting out their ice cream businesses? Big ones.
Because it's not just financial. It feels personal. The leaders of Nestle said last week they think their ice cream lines are annoying.
I mean, we were shocked by this, but one executive called ice cream a strong business, but a, quote, distraction.
And includes bothersome idiosyncrasies that they don't want to deal with anymore.
So Jack and I dove in T-Boy style, and honestly, when you see the numbers, you see what they mean. Like, there are issues with ice cream, like hard, rotten blobs of cookie dough.
First, the ice cream business is as seasonal as it gets.
So seasonal. Half the year, you basically got to give ice cream away. And then the other half of the year, you're dealing with a shortage of the stuff.
Second, the supply chain of ice cream? Complicated.
I mean, Jack, refrigerated transport, that's like the rocky road of extra costs right there.
You have to buy trucks that are literally gigantic freezers.
I mean...
And third, the shifting taste of consumers.
Oh, one year, oat milk ice cream is cool. The next year, whole milk ice cream is cool. Then we're back to pistachio milk ice cream.
And these complications, they're not driven by short-term Ozempic issues. These are fundamental ice cream things that have always been there.
On the other hand, Jack, coffee, that's a year-round business.
Pet food, year-round business.
Snacks, that's a multiple times a day, year-round business.
And none of them need to be refrigerated. So when you look at those comps, ice cream is complicated.
It is annoying if you're looking at it through a joyless profit lens.
Which is what CFOs do.
Which leads to the sprinkled covered paradox here.
Ice cream, beloved by kids and adults alike, hated by CFOs.
Yeah, they don't hear this. Even though we all want to lick ice cream. And yes, I just said, you're like, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies in the ice cream industry?
Sometimes diversification is like rum raisin ice cream. It just doesn't work.
Eddie's hot take here. Some combos don't work, like rum and raisin and ice cream. It's like the pineapple pizza of the industry.
I've never even tried it. That flavor description sounds so intimidating.
I will try everything, and I like to, but I will not try that one, Jack.
But the same is true in business. You can't just combine two business lines and think they'll work well together.
Yeah, famously, General Electric fell apart 10 years ago because they merged too many industries. Jet engines, light bulbs, microwave ovens, NBC Media.
And an ice cream rink and a Christmas tree. in front of their headquarters.
But since splitting up those different business lines into different companies, General Electric is now thriving as different businesses.
Similarly, a giant food corporation doesn't have to make breakfast, snacks, drinks, and ice cream.
And both Unilever and Nestle have now realized that there were no synergies in also owning an ice cream business.
It's a reminder that business leaders don't have to diversify every single revenue stream.
Like rum and raisins and ice cream. Some flavors
Don't belong in the same pint.
And if you got strong opinions about rum raisin, that's today's poll on Spotify. Jack, let's hit commercial.
Now, a quick word from our sponsor.
For our third and final story, what was that brand all over the Olympics with the 3 letters? It's ACG, and it's actually owned by Nike.
You didn't notice because there wasn't a swoosh, but ACG is one of Nike's lifeboats to save the business.
All right, Jack, let's whip out the birth certificates here. Who was born in the year 1989, my friend?
Taylor Swift, Rob Gronkowski,
Makes sense.
Joe Jonas,
Okay.
and ACG.
Which stands for All Conditions Gear. Nike birthed that brand to get into hiking, trail running, and mountain sports back in 1989.
Basically, Nike wanted to compete with Patagonia, North Face, and the other brands that 18-year-old college-bound kids wear in their gap year to Mongolia.
I know what you mean. Yeah, one of their first products, the Air Moab trail shoe, launched in 1991, designed by Tinker Hatfield.
Really cool hiking boot. It looks like abstract art.
It went full Jackson Pollock on this thing because instead of earth tones like every other hiking boot, Nike stood out in Sedona.
But Nike deprioritized the outdoors in the mid-90s. They basically put away their hiking boots for good.
Basically, Nike went back to their 2 biceps of business, running and basketball.
That's why you didn't realize Nike ever did hiking boots.
Which led to the surprise ringer of the Milan Olympics. After a decade, Nike called ACG off the bench and put him in the game.
Nike used these Olympics to relaunch their dormant brand. That's why you kept seeing ACG, all conditioned gear.
I mean, right, besties? Like throughout the Olympics, athletes were wearing Nike-made puffer jackets, but there was no Nike on those things.
Those white jackets, you can picture them because they were worn throughout the Olympics. Instead of a swoosh on the breast, it was an ACG logo.
It was a stealthy reintroduction in a setting that made sense. Peak athletic competition, mostly outdoors.
Because despite global warming, ski and snowboarding cold gear sales have never been hotter.
Yeah, we did a whole story on it last year. Canada Goose flying north, south, east, and west.
Plus, Nike regrets that they missed the trail running trend of the pandemic.
Solomon, On Running, Brooks, New Balance, all of them made trail runners designed to get dirty, and they won.
5 years late to that pandemic-born trend, Nike has arrived by bringing back ACG boots.
That's right. Nike, they're now doing backpacks, gloves, sneakers, even sunglasses for outdoor activities, all under ACG.
And this isn't Nike's first rodeo scaling a non-Nike brand, is it, Nick?
Fair point, Jack. No, it's not. You got Jordan, you got Converse, you got Nike Skims, and that's not the only context we should sprinkle on, Jack.
Nike stock is still down 60% from their all-time highs.
Yeah, I know. I own it. I know.
Last week, we told you that New Balance is catching up to them.
So Nike is hoping to reclimb the mountain by targeting the actual mountain. Which leads, Jack, to the takeaway. What's the takeaway for our buddies doing it over at Nike?
The molehills are calling, and I must go.
You see, Yetis. Nike owns the city. Urban and streetwear designs, that are its bread and its butter.
Patagonia, North Face, and Arc'teryx, they own the great outdoors. Parkas and sleeping bags for your sub-zero camping adventure.
So here is the strategic focus. ACG is trying to fill the gap between the great outdoors and the streetwear.
Refined city looks, but for your weekend trip to the country.
Basically, Nike's using ACG to sell to Millennial Millie, who lives in New York City but visits Vermont and the Berkshires a couple times a year.
Nick, it's rare to see a brand try to span 2 different worlds like Nike is right here.
You're right, Jack, but maybe it's telling that Nike didn't start from scratch. They dipped their toe into Lake Nostalgia.
It's a project they've been working on for 40 years, actually.
Exactly, because the molehills are calling, and Nike must go. Jack, could you whip up the takeaways for us to kick off the week?
Our first story was the $200 billion reverse UNO card.
Oh,
60% of Trump's global tariffs have been deemed illegal, but the Supreme Court did not clarify the refunds.
So we think the president should use the Supreme Court's ruling as an excuse to end this bad tariff policy.
For our second story, it's the ice cream exit. Nestle is following Unilever's lead, selling off their ice cream business.
Ice cream, you scream. Having ice cream offers no synergies in the food business.
And our third and final story is Nike. They reintroduced all conditions gear, ACG, at the Winter Olympics.
Because the molehills are calling and you must go there looking sharp in Nike gear.
But besties, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, Costco just delivered its wildest PR update yet. A gift card recall? Is that possible?
The company that issues gift cards for Costco in the last few months actually went bankrupt.
Yeah, we didn't know you could recall gift cards, but apparently you can, and it's happening at Costco in aisle 6.
So Costco will refund your gift card if you swipe it to pay for that $5 rotisserie chicken, and it's declined because of the bankruptcy.
I'll need to speak to another manager. And second, James Cameron, the director of the Avatar movies and Terminator and Titanic, has a few thoughts.
He thinks that Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers would be a disaster for the movie theater industry on a Titanic level.
Netflix says they're committed, though, to keeping movies in theaters if they do acquire Warner Brothers.
But James Cameron doesn't believe them. So he urged Warner Brothers and regulators to sell to Paramount instead.
And finally, the Seattle Seahawks are selling themselves for charity, and the process just began.
When Seahawks owner and Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen died years ago, he said that he wanted this for his team.
Now, we don't know who will buy the Seahawks and how many billions it will sell for, but we do know this.
The proceeds of the Seattle Seahawks sale will go to charity.
Now, time for the best fact yet, which, because it's Monday, means T-Boy trivia. And I got one for you, Jack, that you do not know. You ready for this one?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. In the spirit of the handshake that did not happen between Sam Altman and his rival at Anthropic, it's a handshake one. And here's the question. Which American president has the record for most handshakes given in a single day?
Wow. Oh, man, I can't wait to hear the answer. I have no clue.
So, besties, drop your answer in the comments today, and we'll reveal it in tomorrow's pod. Yetis, you are looking fantastic for live T-Boy Show Week. Jack, you're glowing today. What are you thinking, my friend?
If one of the Yetis listening is going to our live show in Austin, and you have the best fact yet,
I like this.
You can deliver it live on stage, but first, send it to us so we can vet it.
Yeah. Send us a DM on Instagram at TBoyPod. Jack and I will check out your fact. If you're going to the show, we may get you on stage with us.
Prepare for a bear hug if you do come on stage.
If you know, you know. Jack and I will see you in Texas. And before we go, a happy birthday to legendary Eddie Xavier Jones in Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome to the teen years, Xavier.
Happy birthday to Sean Trinidad Anbia, who has 3 sons, a pregnant wife, and a birthday in San Diego. What a legend.
And Kevin Medrano, happy 33rd birthday down in Frisco, Texas.
Happy birthday to Huey Snyder, turning 8 and learning German in Spokane, Washington. Huey, sprichst du Deutsch? Ach ja? Nicht?
And Jackson Hall, enjoy turning 9 at the Detroit Tigers spring training. We hope to get you out in the field.
Happy birthday to Melissa Vu, who's baking bread for the birthday up in Denver.
And Waverly Bell, enjoy the birthday up in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
And a big shout out to Caleb and Jesse. Their 1-year anniversary is happening right now in Mexico City. ¿Cómo se dice?
El mejor hasta ahora? Let's roll with that, Jack.
And a big shout out to Juliana from New Haven, Vermont, who cackles every morning to the show. She told me in person just the other day.
And Glenn Kinsman just took his first Waymo ride and had that robo-taxi turn on the T-Boy podcast. Jack, we were live in the Waymo.
Hey Siri, drive me to work and play my favorite podcast.
Glenn, we'll see you at the DC show. Celebrate the wins.
And to anyone else who's celebrating something today, make it a T-Boy.
Celebrate the wins.
This is Jack. I own stock of Netflix and Nick owns stock in Nike.